Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss, this will be the continuation of the part 1 of our topic, which is the introduction to statistics. So today we'll start with the experimental design. Okay, in your research, when you conduct the research, you're always asked to also conduct a statistical study. So this here we will discuss on designing. So how will you make your statistical study possible? So we have here the guidelines. Okay, for the first one, you need to identify first the variable of interest or the focus. Sa imong focus sa imong study. Like for example, your study is about academic performance of students and you want to focus on the students of Jeremy Dipolog campus. So that would be your focus, or your population would be the students of Jeremy Dipolog. And your variable would be sama nimong variable ana. The academic performance, since you want to know what is their academic performance. For example, in the subject math. So you can conduct or you can so you need to identify those variables and of course your focus group or the population that you are considering. Okay, for the next one, develop a detailed plan for collecting data. If you use a sample, make sure that the sample is representative of the population. Okay, for example, again, your study is about the academic performance of the students of Jeremy Dipolog campus in mathematics. So to make a detailed plan on how to collect data, you could use survey, diba? The most common one is survey. But later on, we will discuss on other methods of data collection. So napanaylain pa maagi yun sa pag-collect sa data. Also, if you use a sample, as mentioned, if you use a sample, make sure that katong sample nga imong gipili would represent the entire population because you'll be making an inference throughout the population based on that sample. Kailangan sure ka nga makarepresent to sila sa tibuok population. For the third one, collect data. Of course, collect your data. For the fourth one, describe the data. Okay, describe. So you may do this by presenting your data through graphical presentations like bar graphs, pie graphs, pictographs, etc. Kadalasan na bar graphs or mga pie graph. So you could present your data using those graphical presentations. And for the fifth one, after presentation, you can interpret already the data and make decisions about the population using inferential statistics. Diba, kung i-discuss ni Agi, inferential statistics is making a conclusion of the entire population just based on the sample. Gikan sa sample, makakonclude na ka sa tibuok population. That is what we call inferential statistics. And for the last one, identify any possible errors. So i-check nimo basig na sayop. Check the possible errors. So here you have the methods of data collection. Methods. So the most common one is survey, as I have mentioned. We have other types or other ways like observational study, experiment, simulation, survey, stratified sample, cluster sample, systematic sample, convenience sample, and etc. Okay, let's go back to the first one. So, observational study, a researcher observes, from the term itself, observe na gani. Imo lang i-observe ang imo ang focus group in order for you to collect your data. Simple as that, through observation. And for the next one is experiment. So a treatment is applied. Okay, for example, sa case na to karon kaning COVID-19. So you want to conduct a study on the new medicine nga ilang gihimo or the new vaccine nga ilang gihimo. So you will make two groups, or you divide your kato imong mga respondents on two groups. For the first group, that would be called your control group. And for the next one, or the next group, would be your experimental group. So sa control group, wala kay gibuhat. So that is your baseline. For your experimental group, dito nimo gihatag din tong medisina, the vaccine. So after giving the medicine, and then you can already compare sa duha if naabay diferensya nilang duha. So if you can see a difference between the two groups, katong grupo nga wala nimo tagai o katong grupo nga imong gitagaan, then you can already gather data. So makonclude mo, for example, ang imong gitagaan is nangaayo. Pag wala nimo tagaan nangamatay. So therefore, you can conclude that your medicine is effective. So that data collection is what we call experimental. Now for the next one, we have simulation. A simulation is the use of mathematical or physical model to reproduce the conditions of a situation or process. Simulation, from the name itself, simulate. For example, nagtesting ang mga engineer o sa ilang new building structure, and they represent the building through gamay nga model, and then they want to know if that model can withstand earthquake. So ilang gi-stimulate ang earthquake through mga maybe katong table bitong nga malihok. So they can simulate the scenario of an earthquake to see whether the structure will hold or the structure will wala di siya maguba. So that is simulation. Now for the most common one, we have survey. So this is an investigation of one or more characteristic of a population. So we have two here. We have two, census and sampling. Now for the census, this is 100% 100% survey. So you survey the entire population, whereas sampling, sample. So from the sample lang. So sample ra imong gikuhaan og survey. So census, this is very common sa mga household census kanang matos yung balay. So that is census 100% sa tanang or tibuok population, while for the sample, that is sample lang. This is very, ang kadalasan na is sample lang ang ginagamit because of course it is not practical to, for example, your study is academic performance of students in mathematics, and mathematics man estudyante, so therefore your population will be all the students of the world. So that is not very practical. So you make use only of a sample, like a sample from the students from GRMC Dipolog campus, specifically from the Department of or the College of Education. So sample. So muto siya. Di mo po praktikalan og tanan. So that is the significance or the importance of having a sample. But also, as mentioned earlier, you need to make sure that the sample will represent the entire population. We have here another one, stratified sample. So it has members from each segment of a population. This ensures that each segment from the population is represented. For example, you want to make a study sa GRMSU, mga faculty sa GRMSU Dipolog, faculty members. You want to make a survey regarding their regarding the quality of instructions that they're giving to their students. And then in data collection, you only use stratified, or you use stratified sample, meaning imong gigrupo ang kada faculty based on their department. And then after that, you get samples from each department. Pangitan, magkuha lang kag 10 or 5 sa College of Education, 5 sa College of Criminology, Criminal Justice, 5 pod sa College of sa CIT, or 5 pod sa CAS. So that is stratified sampling. So imong gigrupo sila, and then after that, okay, continuing. As I have mentioned, diba, imong gigrupo ang kada faculty based on their department, and then getting members from each faculty from each department. So that is what we call stratified sampling. Another example sa figure na to, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and senior. So you can get your sample from, for example, imong study is You want to conduct, again, you want to know the academic performance of the students of sige, sa kwanta, sa ZNHS, Zamboanga del Norte National High School. You want to know the academic performance of their students. So, in order for you to do that, you need to get sample from the school. So, using stratified sample, nagkuha lang ka og for example, 50 sa sophomore or sa freshman sa taon na. 50 sa freshman, 50 sa sophomore, 50 sa junior, and 50 sa senior. So, again, that is stratified sample kay nagkuha ka sa kada grupo. Now, as for the cluster sample, this is has all members from randomly selected segments of the population. This is used when the population falls naturally or into naturally occurring subgroups. City of Clarksview divided into city blocks. So this is again random sampling. So sa kanina sa stratified. Sa stratified, you group them according to their classification. Kanina, according to the department. O katupong sa year level, sophomore, senior, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Now sa cluster sampling, this is merely random sampling. You randomly select segments from the population. This is random sampling. Although katuang stratified that could fall under random sampling, but sa stratified you group them according to their classification, whereas sa cluster, kuan lang, this is random sampling based on one group lang. But still, you need to consider that kailangan katong sample nga imong gikuha that would represent the entire population. Okay, for the next one, we have systematic sample. A systematic sample is a sample in which each member of the population is assigned a number. A starting number is randomly selected, and a sample member are selected at regular intervals. Now, example, you want to conduct a study regarding the performance of your class. For example, imong estudyante is 50 kabok. You have 50 students. So you want to conduct you want to know the overall academic performance of your students based on a sample. For example, pulo lang imong kuhaon. So pulo raman out of 50. Using systematic sample, you arrange the names alphabetically, and then you draw according to a particular interval. So kuan man pulo or 10 naman imong kuhaon. So, therefore, ang imong pilion sa lista is number 5, si number 10, si number 15, si number 20, and so on and so forth. So, you pick a sample according to a particular interval. So, nakay-sistema sa pagpili. Example pa dyan, every fourth member is chosen. So, there is a particular interval, a regular interval. Now, for the next one, we have convenience samples. Now, this is very common, and most of the times it is used, especially pag apiki ang kwarta, panahon. So, convenience sample consists only of available members of the population. Example, you want to conduct a survey regarding people's awareness of the recent COVID virus or COVID-19 cases. So, how aware are the people of the COVID-19? So, imong i-consider is tanan dyan na, kay tanan man na-involve aning COVID sa tibuok kalibutan. But, through convenience sampling, you can choose people nga dulra sa imo. For example, taga-Dipolog ka. So, you can choose respondents that are from Dipolog City. So, that is convenience sampling. Convenient ra sa imo, nara sa dool. Okay, we have here examples. Let us determine what sampling technique is used. For the first one, you randomly select 2 different departments and survey each teacher in those departments. So again, this is random sampling. Ang pinakadol ani this is cluster sampling. Again, sa cluster wala nimos lagi grupo, so they are Diretso na mo. One group and then you randomly select. Whereas a stratified, you group them according to their classification. In our case, by department, and then you select from each department. Now, okay, let's proceed na. Number 2, you select only the teachers you currently have this semester. So, imo nang gipili itong mga naara. So, obviously, this is convenience sampling. Convenience sampling. Okay, mura may kwan, na-assign mo ah. So, you select only the teachers you currently have this semester. For the third one, you divide the teachers up according to their department and then chose to survey some teachers in each department. So, you divide the teachers. You divide imos lang grupo according to their department and then you chose from each department. So as I have discussed earlier, this is may tawag ani. This is stratified sampling. Let's check. Okay, number 1, cluster. Number 2, convenience. Number 3, that is stratified sampling. Now you may answer this test yourselves. Now I will give a link below for this activity. So you will identify. Okay, this is quantitative versus qualitative. So this you already have this in your first activity. You have this in your first activity, so don't answer this anymore, although you can do this. Then just answer this one. The 5 numbers. Identify the sampling techniques used in the following. So I will give this to you as your second activity. Goodbye, everyone.